Welcome to the 11th Basic Competency for Trainers Methodology Level 1, which is develop and promote appreciation and cost benefits of technical training. First is how to study and evaluate training costs, components, and benefits. So for introduction, employee training can be a difficult investment for many organizations to evaluate. On the other hand, there are some obvious costs associated with it. The more time you hires spend in training, the longer it takes to prepare them for their jobs, and less flexibility the organization has in managing workplace turnover. On the other hand naman, by investing in employee training, organizations not only improve the capabilities of their workforce but also boost job satisfaction, which can lead to better productivity. So, how to study and evaluate training cost components and benefits? First, you have to ask yourselves what are you running? Why are you running rather a training program? So, knowing the objectives now is the first step towards determining the cost and benefits of the said training. This might include facilitating the employee onboarding, improving the emergency responses, training of a new skill sa ating mga employees, as well as develop leadership abilities. How can you measure the results? The next thing. Once you have established your objectives, it is time to identify what results you're hoping to find. These results are often not the same for every program, of course, but many programs are looking for several results, including first, time to complete the training, of course. Next is the positive outcomes in emergency scenarios. In critical response situations, training is of the utmost importance. The more learners can prepare for emergencies, the more likely it is they will be able to respond well. Next are the number of qualified employees, of course, and lastly, reduction to customer service complaints. So next is how to consider the qualitative results as well. So these are the factors that you have to ask yourself. Does the new training program boost the employee satisfaction? Training can boost confidence by helping employees feel more prepared. Next is your staff more productive by this said training program? And next is, have you improved communication between the employees? Number four are the factor in the cost in developing and running the program, of course. Cost of the training program development, napakahalaga. The said training materials that you will be using in order for you to undergo the said training program. Next is the internal worker time spent in training, as well as the time spent by instructors or mentors working with new learners. So next is you have to measure, iterate, and improve. You may run your numbers and achieve a result that fits your parameters, but that doesn't mean you should leave it there. Very few training programs are perfect on their first run through, and even fewer stay perfect over time. Organizations change, industries change, and generational expectations as well change. The good news is if you pay attention to your outcomes and refine your programs, your training can only get better. Online training programs are blended, and blended classrooms can be of particular assistance in this area. Whereas live classrooms naman and one-on-one mentoring sessions can provide learners with the personal feedback that they need to finish a course. Online modules can reduce the cost of teaching time, standardized lessons, and provide data feedback about the learner progress. Next is how to monitor naman and conduct and results of the training. Monitor conduct and results of the training. So well-trained employees though are essential to the success of any company. Unfortunately, in a bad economy, a lot of businesses consider employee development as an unnecessary expense. But while cutting your training budget can seem like a logical thing to do, stop and think about its long-term implications as they can far outweigh the immediate costs saved. The right training program will have a plethora of benefits for a company. It increases employee engagement, retention, and productivity. It decreases the need for supervision, reduce absenteeism, it improves customer service as well as boost sales. As you attempt now to make money-conscious choices on staff, always turn to your trustworthy, syempre, na HR department for a few suggestions on how to manage training and development budgets. Proper training has a positive effect on employee and customer retention, sales, and overall profitability. Of course, your training budget will vary based on your specific business training needs, but typically, a 2 to 2.5% of the company's budget allocated to employee training is considered a standard. How much what is first muna a training budget? There is no real need to go into lengthy explanations about the training budget definition, but it's good to have a general idea of what it is and what it isn't. In some sectors now, there is an ongoing requirement for maintaining certifications to adhere to local as well as national regulations related to their jobs. This can create substantial expense for small and medium companies. Creating a training budget plan is not just necessary from a regulatory point of view, but it does make sense financially. So basically, providing a training, a cost benefits of the training first is no sorry, yung ano muna, yung budget plan for the cost and benefits of the said training basically will help you reduce costs once the training is upheld na and naging effective yung training doon sa ating mga employees and other cost may be ano no doon natin babawiin doon sa other costs like expenses for maintenance, supervisions and etc. Next are how to manage training expenses. Budgeting for your company's training needs does not mean using surplus money when you have it. So ideally, you need to build a separate line item for training into your annual budget. A training budget should factor in the following costs. Initial briefing about the training program, of course. Training delivery, training materials, staff time, instructor fee if applicable. If applicable then ang travel, lodging, and meal expenses, ongoing training, upkeep, and contingencies. Upon approval, your training budget needs to be carefully managed if you want to stay on track. Keep in mind that the most important item in effective cost management is understanding the cost revenue structure of your business. When you take a strategic view of your training program, you can accurately determine what your company needs and how to go about delivery in the most cost efficient way possible. Next is optimizing muna the training structure and minimizing costs. Once you have prioritized the training needs of your employees and drafted an initial training budget, you can look at ways to maximize its cost efficiency. Once you look at the cumulative expenses of the training cost per employee, you can consider several ways of reducing them. You can reduce them internally first. There are a lot of options rather for employers who can't afford to bring outside help and they can produce adequate results in training your employees. So but this can be done by rolling out a group training, finding trainers within your company, sometimes they are there naman, hosting weekly or monthly events, and cross-training employees or basically these are giving them as well collaborating efforts and social aspects when you cross train employees. Next is externally naman. Externally, and external training resources don't have to break the bank and throw your training budget out of order. You can do so by reusing materials, Most training materials such as videos have a long shelf life, of course, and may be used repeatedly. Next, other option is e-learning. E-learning, online options are more affordable than traditional training. E-learning is usually associated with decreased material cost as all or most of the training information is available online. It allows for flexibility and reduces travel costs too as employees can access courses remotely. So the e-learning model supports the learner's development in real time and offers a certain degree of personalization and synchronization. You can use these techniques individually or try a combination of those techniques rather based on your business needs. Ultimately, having the right training program in place will save you money in the long run. So once you are done with that training na, you should next daw monitor and conduct the results of the training. Supporting company goals through efficient training budgets. Ultimately, efficient training cost management comes down to employee commitment. If you want to be successful, you need to factor in this component. This means that setting specific goals for employees that you expect them to achieve. The next topic would be promoting awareness of cost benefits of the training. Training effectiveness refers to the quality of the training provided and measuring whether the training is met its goals and objectives. One of the most widely used ways to evaluate training is the Kirkpatrick model. These are the four levels of the Kirkpatrick model. First is reaction. How did the participants react or respond to the said training? Number two is learning. What did the participants learn from the training? Number three is behavior. Did the trainees take what they learned and put it into practice on the job? And lastly, the results. Did the training meet the stakeholders' expectations? What was the return of this expectation? So ROE is return of expectations. In the Kirkpatrick model of training evaluation, training is judged against two main factors. First is the stakeholders' expectations. The stakeholders is syempre are usually the management of a company or the organization. Number two is the objectives of the training. What was the training designed to accomplish? So in promoting awareness of the cost and benefits of the training, first step is to identify what you need to measure. If you decide to follow an established training evaluation program such as the Kirkpatrick model, then you will have a predetermined path. However, you don't need to follow this model. The first step is to make your evaluation fit for purpose and decide what you need to measure. This is a critical part of choosing the right things to evaluate. You have five main options daw po. Firstly is the identify the expected outcomes and the goals of the training. You must ensure that the training meets the stakeholders' expectations and or the business needs that the evaluation measures against these said expectations. Second is you have to measure the participants' reaction. This helps you determine whether the training created the conditions necessary for the learning to take place. Number three is to measure the learning. This helps you find out what the learning took place. Number four is the measuring of the job impact. This helps you determine whether the training impacted the learners on the job performance. Number five is measuring of the business impact and the return of investment or the return of expectations. At this level, you examine the impact that the training had on the business. So which evaluation is right for you? For a comprehensive measurement of training effectiveness, you may wish to complete all of the stages. In this case, you may simply follow through the stages sequentially. However, some organizations place less importance on some areas and omit them entirely from the evaluation process. For instance, there is little evidence to suggest that participants' reaction has any correlation with the learning or job impact. A wide variety of factors such as goals, cost, and visibility of the training will determine which type of things you need to measure. Return of investment evaluations are usually reserved for training programs and events that are expected to change the business performance in some way. So there are different evaluation strategies. So it can be, or sorry, ayan. There are different examples of evaluation strategies such as workplace observations, of course, peer observations, self-reflections, pre and post-training assessments, and pre and post-training self-assessments. One of the easiest approach daw po is to use a post-test survey 2 to 3 months after the training took place. You would ask the participants to judge their own on-the-job performance against their current knowledge, skills, and attributes or attitudes. As surveys are self-reported and a form of self-reflection, this wouldn't give you the objectiveness of or a professional assessment. This makes it simple and cost-effective, but it relies on trust, syempre, and responses from your said employees that would require further work to independently verify. Some sample questions that you may ask during the said post survey are to briefly describe the training you completed. Did the training provide any lessons related to the on-the-job roles? And if yes, describe them. Did the training improve your quality to perform the job? And if so, please write how it further improved you. Other stakeholders now may request a more detailed report where findings are analyzed in more details. They may wish to see the impact of the training course had on business metrics. For instance, if you're struggling for simple spreadsheets, limited LMS reporting, and need help to analyze interpreting data, you may consider now such platforms as such as Codo Survey. This will help you collect and analyze everything you need to know, everything you need to make data-driven decisions and become strategic learning partners. So next is measuring learning. Many course trainers are able to administer both the pre-training and post-training evaluations. They can analyze the results themselves to identify areas where learning took place. This data can be used to generate a report that expresses the effectiveness of the training in terms of facilitating the learning. So next is measuring the job impact naman. Assessing the participants on the job performance can be accomplished in a number of ways. The responsibility of gathering and analyzing data is routinely handed to the participants, supervisors, and managers. An alternative and costlier approach is to hire a trained evaluator to conduct workplace observations and assessments. Arguably, this approach may produce more accurate, but the additional expense may be a barrier for some organizations. And lastly is measuring business impact and return of investment. If you are following the Kirkpatrick model and simply want to evaluate the training according to stakeholders' expectations, you or the business managers can gather financial data and draw links between the benefits of the training and the evidence. For example, following a training course aimed to improve customer satisfaction, You may expect customers to report a more favorable impression on the company and the staff, and you could gather this data through surveys and argue that the training met the stakeholders' expectations.